The fall of a hero. The sky above the capital city of Arkina was calm. Silver towers touched the clouds, and glowing blue lights ran through the streets. Commander Zira walked with pride. She had returned home after a long mission. People once called her a hero. She had saved thousands from a deadly virus on a distant moon. As she stepped into the central hall, soldiers in black armor blocked her path. "Commander Zira," said one of them coldly. "You are under arrest." She blinked. "What? Why?" They didn't answer. 2 guards grabbed her arms. They tore off her rank badge and dropped it on the floor. She looked around. No one spoke for her. Not one of her fellow officers stepped forward. "There must be a mistake," Zira shouted, but her voice echoed into silence. They dragged her through the streets. Citizens looked away. Some whispered. Some just stared. Not long ago they had cheered her name. Now they acted like she didn't exist. They took her to the orbital prison station, Orbit 9, a cold, dark place where criminals were sent to vanish. No trials, no records, no justice. Inside the prison, she was thrown into a steel cell. It smelled of oil and fear. Her white uniform was replaced with a gray prisoner's suit. She sat on the cold floor, confused and angry. "Why?" she whispered to herself. "I only did what was right." Hours passed. Days, maybe. Time lost meaning. One day, during mealtime, she was forced into a room with other prisoners, aliens of different shapes, sizes, and languages. None of them looked friendly. None of them wanted to talk. Her eyes froze when she saw one of them. A human. He was tall, muscular, with scars across his arms. He sat alone in the corner, eating quietly. Humans were feared across the galaxy. Zara had learned in her academy days that humans were dangerous, emotional, violent, unpredictable. She turned her face away. Better not to make eye contact. Later, in the sleeping hall, she tried to lie still on her thin mattress, but she could feel eyes watching her. When she turned, she saw the human again, sitting silently in the dark, staring, not with hate, but with curiosity. Zira stood and walked to the water station. As she poured a cup, her hands shook. She hadn't eaten properly in days. When she turned back, she bumped into a large alien guard. He growled, shoved her, and knocked the water out of her hands. "Watch where you walk," he hissed. She tried to respond, but before she could speak, he punched her in the stomach. She fell to the floor, coughing. No guards came to help. No one even looked. Then, someone stepped forward. Boots. Strong steps. It was the human. He didn't speak. He simply stood between her and the alien. The alien looked at the human, thought for a moment, and then walked away. Zara lay on the floor, breathing hard. The human bent down and offered her his cup of water. She stared at it. "I don't need your help," she said, voice weak. The human didn't answer. He just placed the cup beside her and walked away. That night she lay awake. Her body hurt, but something else hurt more. The silence from her people. The betrayal. The shame. Why had they done this to her? What had she done wrong? She remembered the virus she helped stop. She had worked with a human team to find the cure. Maybe that was it. Maybe her own kind saw her as a traitor for working with humans. But wasn't saving lives more important than politics? The next day, she saw the human again. He was fixing part of a broken wall, using tools he wasn't supposed to have. Quietly, secretly, she watched him help a small creature find food. Again, no words, just actions. This wasn't what she had been taught. This wasn't a monster. He looked up, noticed her watching, and gave a small nod. Zira looked away. Sometime later, alarms blared. The prison lights turned red. Inmates started shouting. A riot had begun. Guards ran in with weapons. But they couldn't control the chaos. Zira tried to hide behind a wall, but an explosion shook the room. Part of the ceiling fell. She was pinned under a metal beam, unable to move. Her vision blurred. Dust filled her lungs. She heard footsteps. Boots. She saw a figure kneel beside her. The human. He looked at her with calm eyes. His hand reached toward her. "Do you trust me now?" he asked softly. Zira didn't answer, but her fingers slowly reached out and touched his. Chains and shadows, darkness. Zira opened her eyes slowly. Everything around her was shaking. Metal creaked. Fire burned in the corners of the prison hall. Her head hurt. Dust stuck to her lips. But she wasn't alone. Strong arms pulled the beam off her legs. She cried out in pain. The human, Dane, was beside her. He didn't speak. His face was serious, focused. "Can you walk?" he asked. Zira tried. Pain shot through her body, but she nodded. Dane pulled her arm over his shoulder. They moved fast, slipping through smoke-filled corridors. Behind them, prisoners screamed, guards shouted, sirens wailed. As they moved deeper into the tunnels, Zira looked at him. "Why are you helping me?" she asked, voice weak. He didn't look at her. "Because no one else will." They reached a dark corner where the chaos didn't reach. A small hidden maintenance room with old equipment and tools. Dane had clearly used it before. It was dusty, but safe. "Stay here," he said, handing her a bottle of water and a packet of dry food. "You planned this?" she asked, surprised. "No," he replied. "I always plan for when things go wrong." Zira sat against the wall. Her leg was bruised but not broken. She ate in silence, watching him fix a cracked wire on the ceiling with his bare hands. Finally, she asked, "Who are you really?" Dane paused. Then he sat down across from her. "I was a soldier," he said. "Earth sent me to help during the virus outbreak on Cellin Prime. Your people asked for our help." Zira's heart skipped. That was her mission. "We saved lives," he continued. "But later your government said we were a threat. They blamed us, called us unstable. I was captured and sent here." She felt a heavy weight in her chest. She remembered hearing those same lies on the news channels back home. "I thought humans were dangerous," she whispered. "Some are," he said, "but so are all species. I judge people by what they do, not what they are." She looked down. She had judged him the same way her people had judged her, without knowing the truth. Days passed. Dane helped others in the shadows. A wounded, insectoid prisoner, an old blind alien, even a guard once. He never asked for anything. Zira began to see the fear in the other inmates, not of Dane, but of the system that ran the prison. The prison wasn't just a cage. It was a graveyard for those who knew too much, spoke too loudly, or loved too freely. One night, Zira woke up to strange sounds, voices, electric pulses, footsteps. Dane was already awake. He pulled her behind a wall and held a finger to his lips. 2 guards walked past whispering. "The council wants her dead," one said. "Make it look like an accident." Zira's blood froze. They still wanted her gone. The guards disappeared. Zira leaned against the cold wall, shaking. They were talking about me," she said. Dane nodded. "I know." "Why are they doing this?" she asked, eyes wide with fear. "Because you saw the truth," he said quietly. "You learned that humans weren't monsters, and now you're dangerous to them." She stared at the floor, everything spinning in her mind. "What now?" she asked. Dane stood and pulled out an old, dirty map. "There's an unused maintenance shaft. It leads to an old control room. From there we can access a signal relay. Maybe we can contact someone." "Who?" she asked. "Anyone who still cares about truth," he replied. Zira hesitated. "What if they don't believe us? Then we die here, but at least we die fighting." They moved the next day. Silent, fast, careful, but something felt wrong. The halls were too quiet. The guards were gone. The cameras turned away. As they reached the shaft, Zira stopped. She felt it. A presence. A trap. Before she could warn Dane, the lights went out. Metal doors slammed shut behind them. They were locked in. A voice echoed through the room. "Hello, Zira." She froze. That voice. It was familiar. "General Torvin?" she whispered. The screen lit up. A tall alien in blue robes appeared, her former commander, her mentor. "You should have stayed silent," Torvin said. "You were a symbol. Now you're just another problem." Zara's hands shook. "Why?" "I did everything." "You asked. I saved lives." "Yes," Torvin replied coldly. "But you brought back something else. Truth, hope, and humans." The screen went dark. A hiss. Gas filled the room. Dane pulled off his jacket and ripped cloth to cover Zara's mouth. They smashed the door controls. Sparks flew. Nothing worked. "Have to get out," she gasped. "We will," Dane said, "but not through the front." He kicked open a side panel. A crawl space. Tight, dangerous, but open. As they crawled inside, Zara whispered, "You were right. They fear truth more than anything." Dane's voice was low and steady. "Good. Then let's give them something to be afraid of. The enemy's hand." The crawl space was dark and tight. Wires hung like vines, and every inch was covered in dust and rust. Zira moved behind Dane, crawling on her elbows. Her legs still hurt from the injury, but fear pushed her forward. Behind them, gas filled the room they had escaped. 1 second slower and they would have been dead. Zira's heart pounded. Her mind spun with questions. Why had her own commander betrayed her? Why had the prison been a silent trap? Why was the truth so dangerous? They reached a vent. Dane pushed it open slowly. A hallway stretched out beyond. Quiet, dim, filled with blinking red lights. They slipped out and hid behind old crates. "Where are we now?" she asked. "Level 6, power core storage. Abandoned after a reactor leak," he whispered. "No cameras, no guards. They think it's useless." "Is it?" she asked. He looked at her. "Not to me." They moved through shadows. Zira watched, Dane carefully. He knew this place better than she ever could. He had studied it, survived it, not with force, but with patience and silence. They reached an old service room. Inside, ancient screens flickered weak signals. Dane connected wires, typed codes, bypassed locked systems. His fingers moved fast. Zira watched in silence. This human was not a brute, not a savage. He was sharp, focused, full of fire. Finally, he spoke. "I found something." He pulled up a video log, security footage from months ago. Zira leaned in. Her eyes widened. It was her. She was standing on the stage of the Arcana Council speaking. "Defending humans. They helped us. Without them, Sealan Prime would be gone," she said on the screen. One of the council members replied, "They helped for now, but tomorrow they will demand power." "No," she said firmly. "Truth is not weakness. We must stand with those who saved us." The video paused. Zara blinked. "I don't remember this being recorded. They erased it from public records," Dane said. "But I found the backup. They destroyed your name to protect their lies." Zara clenched her fists. "They destroyed everything." Dane looked at her. "Not everything." He handed her a small device. "I saved more. Messages, files, proof." Before she could speak, an alarm rang far above them. Footsteps, boots, fast, angry. "They found us," Dane said. "We have to move. Now!" They ran through a narrow corridor. Zira limped slightly, but she didn't stop. As they turned a corner, 3 guards stood blocking their path, weapons raised. "Don't move," one shouted. Dane stepped in front of her. A guard fired. Dane pulled Zira down, rolled behind a crate, and returned fire with a stolen blaster. Zira grabbed a broken metal rod and attacked from the side. Together, they knocked the guards unconscious. Her hands shook. Her breath was heavy. "You're Fast, Dane said. I was trained to protect, she replied, then keep doing that. Protect the truth. They escaped through an old fuel tunnel. Sparks lit their path. Dane pulled her through fire and steam, never letting go. They found a small, hidden room with a sealed door. Inside, supplies, tools, even a working med unit. Zara sat down exhausted. Dane treated her wounds, cleaning and wrapping them with care. You're not what I expected, she said softly. Same, he replied. I used to fear humans, she said. I thought you were all violent. He didn't. Smile. We can be, but only when we have to. How do you stay calm? She asked. His eyes turned cold. Because I wasn't calm once, and I lost everything. He stood, walked to the console, and pulled up a star map. There's a ship, he said. Not far from here. Human-made. Old. Hidden. Forgotten. But maybe, just maybe, we can make it fly. Why haven't you used it before? I couldn't do it alone, he said. And I wasn't ready to trust anyone. She stared at him. And now? He looked at her. Now I have a reason. Zira stood beside him. Then let's get out of this place. Not yet, he said. We need one more thing. We need the master key. And I know who has it. Who? She asked. Someone you know, he said. Someone who used to be your friend. Her. Blood ran cold. Scene change. Prison command level, a tall figure walked through the halls of Orbit 9. Blue coat, silver eyes, clean hands. This was Varen, Zara's former partner and closest friend. He stopped at a control panel, watched the footage of her and Dane fighting the guards. A small smirk crossed his face. So she finally sees the truth, he said to himself. Then he whispered, Too bad she'll die before she can share it. He held the master key in his hand. Echoes of betrayal, shadows danced on the old, steel walls as Zira and Dane moved through the lower levels of Orbit 9. The place felt like a forgotten machine. Wires hanging like dead vines, lights blinking like dying stars. Zira's face was cold, but inside her chest, her heart was shaking. Varen, her closest friend, the one who trained beside her, laughed with her, trusted her. And now, he held the key that could either free them or kill them. Dane walked beside her silently. He didn't ask how she was feeling. He didn't need to. Her fists were already clenched. You don't have to face him, Dane said. Yes, I do, she replied. This started with him. It ends with him. They reached the access gate to Command Deck 3, Varen's territory. Guards patrolled above. Security drones hovered like ghosts. We'll never get in from the front. Dane, said Zira, smiled slightly. We're not going through the front. She pulled back a panel from the wall, an old maintenance shaft from her officer days. She used it once to sneak into meetings as a cadet. Now she would use it to sneak into betrayal. They climbed, up silent as shadows. Inside the shaft, Zira remembered, she and Varen late nights in training. He would always say, when everyone else lies, we protect the truth. She believed him. Now those words felt poisoned. They reached the end of the shaft. Through the small grate, she saw him, Varen, standing in front of a large command screen. His back was to her, his hands behind him, calm, collected. She stepped out first. Dane followed. Varen didn't turn. You finally came, he said softly. Zira froze. You knew I'd come, she asked. He turned now slowly. His face was older, sharper, but his eyes were still the same. Calm, cold, calculating. You were always brave, he said. And stubborn. Zara walked closer. Why Varen? Why betray everything we believed in? He raised an eyebrow. You call it betrayal, I call it survival. You betrayed me, she shouted. He sighed. You broke the rules, Zira. You trusted humans. You showed mercy. You gave them your heart. They saved, Or so, he said sharply. They showed us what we are not, and that scared the council. It scared me. Zira's voice shook. We were supposed to be better. Better doesn't win wars, he replied. Control does. Varen stepped closer, face to face now. You were a symbol, Zira, the perfect officer, the voice of honor. If they could break you, they could break anyone. So you helped them do it? Her voice cracked. He looked away. I tried to protect you. I told them exile would be enough. They wanted you dead. Zira's fists clenched. And now? Now I'm offering you a way out. Varen held up the master key. Take it, he said. Return to yourself, forget all of this, live. And if I don't? She asked. Then I press this, he said, showing a second device, and the humans on this station die. Every last one. Dane stepped forward. You always were a coward, Varen smirked, and you must be the human who infected her with hope. Zira looked at Dane. He nodded. No words were needed. She turned back to Varen. I'm not the same person you locked away, she said. I don't need your protection, and I won't be your symbol anymore. Then she moved, quick as lightning. She kicked the device out of his hand, tackled him to the ground. Varen fought back, trained, skilled, but Zira was faster now, stronger with purpose. They crashed into the console. Sparks flew. Varen grabbed a stun rod and struck her shoulder. She screamed in pain, but spun and knocked it from his hand. Dane caught the master key and disabled the emergency lockdown. Varen lay on the floor, defeated, bleeding. Do it, he whispered. Finish. It. Zira stood over him, shaking, angry, broken, but she lowered her weapon. No, she said. That's what you would do. She turned to Dane. Let's go. What about him? He asked. Zira looked back. Let him live. Let him watch. Everything he tried to destroy be rebuilt without him. They escaped through the side corridor as alarms blared again. Scene change. Prison broadcast chamber. Minutes later, the entire prison heard a sound not heard in years. A voice. This is Commander Zira of the Arcana Fleet, she said. I was betrayed, silenced, erased, but I am alive and I am not alone. The video played. Footage of the virus cure, the human alliance, the truth they had buried. Dane stood behind her as the feed spread through the system. Freedom was no longer a whisper. It was a scream. Scene change. Deep in space. A human ship. Long silent, powered up. Lights blinked to life. Engines hummed. A captain looked at the message from Orbit 9. Looks like we've got someone to rescue, he said. The unseen war. The prison wasn't silent anymore. It was alive. With noise, alarms, rebellion, and hope. After Zira's broadcast, things changed. Doors once locked now stood open. Prisoners began to speak, to organize. Hope was a dangerous thing. It spread like fire. But so did fear. Zira and Dane stood in the shadows of a broken control room, watching the chaos unfold through dusty screens. Inmate groups were rising. Guards were either retreating or turning sides. Small battles exploded across the station, not for power but for truth. Zira touched her bruised shoulder. This place is ready to fall apart. Maybe it needs to, Dane said. Zira turned to him. Do you really think we can win? He didn't answer right away. Instead, he pointed at a screen, a message blinking from deep space. Signal. Received. Human fleet en route. She smiled. Just a little. How long? She asked. 3 hours, Dane replied. If we survive that long. They moved fast, floor by floor, gathering survivors, giving directions, passing out old weapons from storage lockers. Zira wasn't a commander anymore, not officially, but people followed her, even those who once feared her species, even those who didn't speak her language. Hope had its own voice, but every war has secrets, and someone was watching. Scene shift. Command surveillance bay deep in the upper tower, behind layers of steel and lies. A new figure stepped out of the shadows. Director Vael. Unlike Torvin or Varen, Vielle had no face in public records. She worked in silence, a ghost behind every council decision. Her skin was silver. Her eyes were glassy and cold. Her voice, a whisper sharper than blades. She watched Zira's movements on 10 different screens. "She's more dangerous than we expected," a guard said nervously. Vielle didn't blink. "She's a flame, beautiful and fatal, but flames go out." "Should we activate the protocol?" the guard asked. Vielle smiled. "No, let them run. Let them believe. And when the humans arrive, we end them all." She tapped a red switch. Scene shift. Prison lower decks explosions rocked the tunnels. Zira ran beside Dane, breathing hard. They had just escaped a trap, in a collapsing corridor. "They're cutting power to life support," Dane said, trying to cook us slowly. "We have to reach the control core," Zira replied. "If we don't restore the main grid, no one will survive. Not even the innocent." Suddenly a door opened in front of them and a figure stepped out. Varen. Again. But something was wrong. His face was pale. His eyes empty. "Varen?" Zira called out. He raised a weapon, aimed at Dane. Zira reacted without thinking. She jumped. Between them, the blast hit her shoulder. She screamed and fell back. Dane tackled Varen, knocked him down, disarmed him. "What the hell is wrong with you?" Dane shouted. Varen coughed, blood on his lips. "I didn't come here to kill." Zira groaned, her arm burned, but she listened. "They put something inside me," Varen whispered. "A chip. A command code. Director Vielle. She controls everything." His voice cracked. "I thought I was loyal, but I was just a tool." Zira looked into his eyes. This time, there was no cold, only pain. "Help us stop her," she said. Varen nodded slowly. "Take me to the core. I can shut her out." They moved quickly, Zira bleeding, Varen barely walking, Dane carrying the last of their strength. They reached the main control hub, a massive chamber of blinking lights and reactors. Varen connected to the console, typing fast, sweat pouring from his face. "I have to override her signal," he said. "If I fail, this entire station will blow in minutes." Zira leaned against a wall, watching. "Then don't fail." But above them, unseen by all, Vielle was watching. And she had another card to play. Scene shift. Orbit 9's weapon by a massive cannon powered up, aimed not at the prisoners but at the sky, at the incoming human fleet. "Let them come," Vielle whispered. "Let them believe in rescue. And then, let them burn." Scene shift. Command Koreverin screamed. "She's overriding my commands. She's too deep." Zira limped to the terminal. "Then we have to go deeper." Together they hacked the system. Old files opened. Dark secrets, hidden prisons, experiments, erased names, forgotten rebellions. This station wasn't built to hold prisoners, Dane said. It was built to erase them. Suddenly the screen turned red. Purge sequence activated. Varen gasped. "She's going to wipe the station." Zira stood up, eyes burning with rage. "Then we beat her at her own game." She sent one final message, across every signal line. To the human fleet. "Do not approach. Orbit 9 is weaponized. We will disable it from inside. If we fail, remember our names." Scene shift. Human command ship Commander Hale, human fleet captain, read the message. Her fists tightened. "Prepare strike teams," she said. "We're not leaving them behind." Scene shift. Back in the Koreverin screamed as sparks flew. Dane covered him as cables exploded. Zira reached the central override. "If I flip this," she shouted, "it kills the station's main power. No more purge, no more control, but we'll lose gravity, lights, air." "Then do it," Dane said. "Truth is worth it." Zira closed her eyes and pulled the switch. Darkness. Silence. Cold. But for the first time, the prison was free. Rise of the feared silence. After the Purge shut down. The prison floated in stillness. No lights, no alarms, no voices. Orbit 9, once a factory of fear, was now a hollow shell in space. But not for long. Scene shift. Space above Orbit 9-6 human warships came out of jump. They moved like wolves in the dark. Fast, quiet, dangerous. On board, the command ship Novasphere Commander Hale stared at the prison station. "That's Orbit 9?" she asked. "Yes, ma'am. Power levels are 0, but heat signature's still active. Survivors? Maybe. Maybe not." Hale narrowed her eyes. "Prepare teams. We're going in." Scene shift. Inside orbit. Ninzera opened her eyes. Dim backup lights flickered above. Air was cold. Her wounds throbbed, but she was alive. Beside her, Dane helped Varen stand. The older alien groaned, half-conscious. Zera stood slowly, holding onto the rail. Her mind felt heavy, but clear. She had done it. She had stopped the purge. But then she looked up and saw something terrifying. On the far wall behind a cracked panel, blinking blue lights. Not from the station systems, but from something hidden. Something planted. "What is that?" she asked, moving closer. Dane pulled the panel away. Inside was a large black device, glowing softly, humming with energy. Varen gasped. "That's not Arcana tech." "Then whose is it?" Dane asked. Zara looked at the small label on the side. A single word, burned into the surface. Project Aegis. She stepped back. "This isn't a prison. It's a test site." Dane looked confused. "For what?" Varen whispered. "For wiping species. This wasn't just to erase rebels. It was to study how entire races collapse." Zara felt a chill in her bones. "And we were the experiment." Scene shift. Command bridge of Novasphere Commander Hale's ship docked with Orbit 9. Human soldiers moved in, sweeping the halls, searching for survivors. They found Zara, Dane, and Varen in the core. Guns were raised. Zara stood still, bloodied, broken, but proud. "Don't shoot," she said. "We're not enemies." Hale stepped forward, face cold, sharp. "You're Zara?" "Yes." "You asked for help, but you also told us to stay away. Why?" Zara pointed at the hidden device. "Because this station is a trap, not for prisoners, for you." Hale's eyes widened. Scene shift. Orbit 9. Lower depths, deep inside the station, something woke up. Project Aegis had protocols. Human arrival triggered the final phase. Engines powered, weapons activated, and far beneath the surface, machines came alive. Not robots, not drones. Something else. Something ancient. They had been buried here, hidden under the station's metal skin. They were black, silent, shaped like no known species. They moved like shadows. And they hunted. Scene shift. "Zara and Hale, we need to evacuate now," Hale said. "Too late," Dane replied. "Something's moving below us." Zara took a deep breath. "Then we don't run. We stop it." "You barely survived the purge," Hale said. "I didn't survive to run," Zara replied. "I survived to finish what we started." The humans watched her, eyes wide, a commander once, a prisoner after, now. Something more, not alien, not human, just true. Battle begins, machines burst through the walls, fast, silent, deadly. Zira grabbed a rifle from a fallen soldier and fired. Dane fought beside her. Fists, blade, fire. Human soldiers rallied. Formations locked. They weren't just fighting to survive now. They were following her. Zira moved through the chaos like a storm. The machines were fast, but not smart. She learned their patterns. "Go for the cores," she shouted. In the chest, the blue light. The tide turned. But then, something massive entered. A machine, tall as a ship. Not walking, floating. Its voice was a low hum. "Project Aegis complete. Initiating extinction sequence." "What the hell is that?" Hale shouted. Zira stepped forward. "Death," she said. but not today. Emotional climax Zira reached for a remote device Dane carried, a pulse bomb they had built months ago in secret. It could fry every circuit within 50 meters, but it had to be placed inside the machine core. "I'll go," Zira said. Dane shook his head. "You won't make it back." "Then you finish this," she said. "Help others. Tell them what really happened here." She ran toward the giant machine, dodging blasts, fire, shadows. She climbed the wreckage, jumped, stabbed the device into the core. Boom! A white wave burst through the chamber. Machines fell like broken toys. The floor cracked. Power flickered. Silence returned. Dane ran through the smoke. Zira lay in the rubble, breathing, alive. He lifted her up. "You did it," he said. She looked at him, eyes heavy. "No." "We did." Scene shift. Hours later, human ships began evacuating prisoners and survivors. Orbit 9 was falling. Zira stood at the window of the command deck, bandaged, armor cracked. Commander Hale walked up beside her. "We've sent the data back to Earth. They'll know what this place was." Zira nodded. "What will you do now?" Hale asked. Zira looked at Dane, then out into the stars. "I feared humans once, but they saved me, fought beside me, became my people." Hale raised an eyebrow. "So, will you join us?" Zira smiled. "No. I'll stand with you. That's stronger than joining." Final shot human and alien survivors together, the station behind them burning, and Zira rising not just as a hero, but as a symbol of truth, of unity, of hope. Humanity, forgive me. 2 weeks later, the galaxy was quiet. Orbit 9 had been destroyed. Its secret files were exposed. The Human Alliance had rescued thousands. The machines of Project Aegis were nothing but broken metal floating in deep space. But one question remained unanswered. Who would face justice? Scene shift. Arcana homeworld. The E. Sky above the capital was red. Dark clouds rolled over the council tower. It was the same building where Zira once stood, proud, decorated, celebrated. Now she stood at its doors again, bruised, bandaged but taller than ever. Behind her a crowd of thousands, freed prisoners, human officers, rebel Arcanans, reporters, and those who had stayed silent too long. Dane walked beside her, silent, loyal, ready. Zira looked up. "Time to finish it," she whispered. They entered the hall. Scene shift. The great council chamber. 12 council members sat on high thrones, silver robes, proud faces. The room smelled of power. Zira walked to the center. No guards stopped her. No one dared. "Commander." "Zira," said High Chancellor Morak. "You were presumed dead." "Yes," she replied. "You made sure of it." Gasps echoed. Morak remained still. "You bring war criminals and humans into our sacred chamber?" Zira raised a small device and activated a projection. The room filled with images. Project Aegis plans, footage of Orbit 9, the virus cure cover-up, innocent prisoners being tested like lab rats. The council's faces paled. "No more lies," Zira said. "The galaxy knows now." "And what do you want?" Morak asked. "Revenge?" Zira shook her head. "No, I want truth. And I want you to answer for what you've done." The crowd outside heard her voice. Screens broadcasted the trial live. Zira turned slowly, facing the people. "Emotional speech begins. I was one of you. I gave my life for this planet. I followed orders. I wore the badge with pride. But the moment I worked with humans, the moment I saw them as people, I was labeled a traitor. I was arrested without trial, locked away in Orbit 9, tortured, forgotten." She paused. "But they didn't kill me. A human saved me." She looked at Dane. He didn't ask if I deserved it. He didn't care what species I was. He just helped. The room was silent. Zira raised her voice. "I feared humans. Because I was taught to. But fear is easy. It keeps us blind. It turns truth into danger and justice into control. But I know now. Humanity is not perfect. They fight. They burn. They fall. But when they rise and they lift others with them, when my own kind left me to die, they stood beside me. Council React Chancellor Morak stood. This is emotional nonsense, he barked. Humans are a threat. They always were. Zara's eyes narrowed. You are the threat, she said. Not because you're alien, but because you feared losing control. She stepped forward. You betrayed the people, not me. Verdict delivered. Poetic justice. From the back of the chamber, a human officer entered with a data chip. It was signed and approved by 12 member worlds. Chancellor Morak, the officer said, you are under arrest for war crimes, for conspiracy, for genocide. Soldiers stepped forward, Arcanon, human, and others, not invaders, peacekeepers. The crowd outside roared. Justice had arrived. Scene shift. Rooftop after the trial. Zara stood alone on the council tower rooftop. The wind was cold. The city below buzzed with change. Dane joined her. It's over, he said. No, she replied. It's just beginning. You could take a position in the Alliance, Dane said. Leader, ambassador, anything. Zara shook her head. I'm not here to lead. I'm here to rebuild. With humans? He asked. She smiled. With anyone who chooses truth over fear. She looked at the stars. I once said humanity scared me. She closed her eyes. So if you're watching, if you're listening, humanity, forgive me. Final montage. Narration. Zara and Dane helping rebuild destroyed worlds. Humans and aliens working together. The name Orbit 9 becoming a symbol, not of fear, but of awakening. Children in schools learning about unity, not war. And, deep in space, a new station being built. Not a prison, a sanctuary. They tried to bury the truth, but the truth grew roots. And now it's growing into something they can never erase. A new galaxy, not ruled by fear, but held together by the very thing they feared most. Hope.